Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning. And yes, I'm grumpy in multiple ways because I think I'm getting sick as well, which is not a good thing over here. So, on top of the weekend, very weird weekend, a miserable Saturday overall, and then a pretty good Sunday yesterday. So, but I don't know if it all evens out. Definitely was not good for Liverpool. So there is that going on. But Mateusz is in the house. What's happening?
You know, it's another one of those Mondays where you wake up and you go, I don't know how to feel right now. And so that's where we're at. Not particularly super grumpy, not particularly super happy, just sort of right in the middle. And maybe that's the best place to be.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we'll talk about the game. It was like a weird weekend in that sense. I thought, and I put it in the title too. I look at the comments. Good morning, by the way. Scotty's in the house. Ryan. Like, I thought it was well played. I thought this was probably like one of the best games I watched. There were some moments where I was frustrated with what's going on, but not as much as I had been or anything like that. Definitely deserved a lot better out of that game. So it almost feels like, I think Bikler was saying it on the notes, like side discussion there, that it felt somehow better, the play at least, than some of the games that we eked.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. I think also contextually, when you think about the results from the year so far, had this club beaten Leeds and had this club beaten Sunderland, a draw against Burnley in that sense where you have a lot of efforts on goal, you kind of walk away from it going fair play, right? But you draw against Sunderland at home, you draw against Leeds at home, and now you draw against Burnley at home, right?
Yeah.
First time since 1980, I think it was, right? That you failed to beat any of the promoted sides at Anfield. So when you add that to the top, I think that's where more of the frustration boils over, is that while it was a really well-played game, it's one of those where you should have still gotten 3 points. And then you look around the league and go, Newcastle dropped points, Villa dropped point. I don't know why I just said Newcastle. I don't know why that was the first one that pops in my. I think I just saw a short with Sully and Glenn, and I was thinking of Newcastle for some reason. But Villa dropped points, Arsenal dropped points, City dropped point, and you're just thinking like, man, there have been so many weekends, maybe not so many, a few weekends where we've sat here and gone, one more goal would have changed so much in terms of the league overall, right? Like you eke out the win against Sunderland and Leeds those weekends. I mean, it could be a 7-point gap right now to Arsenal. And then you're in a much different situation. So I think I understand the frustration of many fans recognizing that you should be beating promoted sides at home, but it's not like they sat back, absorbed a lot of pressure, and barely drew. This team created a ton of chances. There was Gakpo's clearance off the line, right? Keeper had a couple great saves. And it's just one of those where the luck just wasn't on their side in this one.
Yeah, Cersei's in the house. Satish, good morning. If you just hop on, do hit that thumbs up. Let's spread the word as much as possible over here. Scotty says, I don't know how you guys feel about the XG. We earned 2.96.
Good thing Kazi's
I do like, XG opens up a can of worms normally when we bring it up, but I mean, I think it's a measure. It doesn't always tell the story. Like in this game, I thought it did tell the story in terms of like what we deserved out of that game, and I think it shows that more about, it wasn't one of those games where we just freaking surrounded the goal, passed it sideways, back and forth, and like didn't create anything. It looked like we had answers to the low block. We were trying to do different things. A couple of things we did over and over again where you could tell it was something that they worked on. So it's a matter of just finishing. And I don't know where that comes from, how that comes, because the odd thing is the people we put in the situations usually was not our striker. It was like a lot of, I mean, obviously when you have like so many midfielders on the pitch, it's going to be like more on the midfielders, but
statistically, it's going to be one of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Percentage wise. Marinello scored for the U21s. Good
Outside of the
score.
box too. Outside of the box, it was banger.
No, I will not be convinced. I have seen enough. I mean, he's a young kid, so maybe shouldn't close the door that early. But I've seen so much negative that one shot outside the box is going to be like Costas winning us the FA Cup kind of a deal. Will Alonso be your second best option? I'm amazed with that name. Alonso is not your first option, to be fair. But I don't know. So we'll probably get to that. I was actually going to do a post so we can kind of like take some of those points to the Monday night podcast and like talk a little bit about it, because I do feel like a lot of the views on this game really go back to where you are in terms of slot in, slot out. Like you wanted to look at this game, you could look at this game the way you want to support your cause. So I guess my main thing is, for the people who want him out now, like a lot of like Stevie G talk and stuff like that, I got sucked into one of them and then walked out right away. It's kind of like pointless to get into these conversations, especially with specific people. But where are you at with that? Like, where are you at? And if you are, what I was going to ask people is not if they're slot in or slot out. I was going to ask for the reason for slot in, slot out. Like, are you slot in because it doesn't make sense to do an interim manager? Are you slot out because of the results, or because you don't like how we play suddenly, even though we don't play a whole lot different than before and stuff? Where are you at with it?
I think I'm in the boat of slot in until the end of the season, and then you reassess from there. I mean, I'm sure the assessment has already been made one way or another. We try and think that this club and the ownership is very reactionary, but they're not. We've seen the last 10 years that they're not so reactionary as they are more pragmatic, and they will go into situations, go into decisions having thought about them for a long time, not just off the back of what just happened. We've been saying for the last several weeks that no matter what result it is at the end of the day, your mind is made up whether you want slot to stay or slot to go. If the team goes and beats Burnley 3-0, the slot outers are saying, well, it's Burnley, you should beat them 3-0. And the slot inners are saying, well, you just can never win then, because then what's the point of celebrating this team's success if you can't even celebrate a 3-0 win against Burnley? Now, and so we see what happened with the draw. We see where everyone's at. In my mind, I don't think there is a positive enough reaction with the managerial change at this point in the season that makes sense. I think you're still in fighting chance for Champions League, right? You're in the top four against a weaker pool overall as far as when you look at the teams that you're competing against right now, right? You've got Villa, Chelsea, United, kind of all in that 3 to 5 range, where you think that, but 3 to 6 range, I guess, where you see those are the teams you're going up against to get that final Champions League spot, and you feel pretty good about that. So I think a managerial change this late into the season isn't going to do much for the last 3-4 months of this year. If anything, you ride it out, you see what happens in Champions League play right now too, right? Because I think you've talked about it. I think Kazi even said it at one point that he feels like this team could still win the Champions League. Because it very much it's more.
Kazi said this too?
I think Kazi said it. I think Kazi said at one point there was if I remember correctly, I think there was a Friday morning where he may have alluded to it, but it's one of those where you don't want to necessarily rock the boat now, because that boat could get rocked for then the future beyond this. And I don't know. It's just it's worrisome, because you look at a club like United that has gone through what you don't want to see this club go through, where you have potentially a lot of talent on the pitch and coaching changes every 8 to 12 to 14 to 16 months, and a lot of turmoil there. So I think bottom line is I am slot in for the rest of the season, mainly for the consistency and not falling into a black hole of just endless managers not working. And I think FSG would rather wait to find someone that they are more invested in than a caretaker for 3 months.
See, I agree. And, like it says, Klopp was brought in October. Alonso I think that should not unless, see, I feel like bringing Alonso in now to replace Slot is not good optics in the first place. Where's Gordo when you need a girlfriend analogy? But feels like, the girl you wanted was in a relationship. So you were like, you know what? I'm just going to. And so now you're breaking up with the girl because you're like, yeah, the other one just became available over here and you're jumping. I don't even think that they were interested in him at the time. And aside from being an ex player, nobody has told me that, what they like about Xavi and what he plays. People make connections to the fact that, he had Wirtz and he had, Frimpong obviously over there. But aside from that, like, I don't see anybody giving a good reason for it to be Xavi, aside from one, he's not Slots, and two, we love him as a player. So why not kind of a thing. And even those people admit that he's a lot more qualified for the job than Stevie G is. Like, do you see any other reasons that, because here's the thing, like with this system and stuff, like this squad fits it even less, it feels like.
Yeah, I guess the thing that we keep going back to is kind of seeing this system out for what it's supposed to be. And will we ever get a chance to see that while Slot's still here? If there's a chance that, if he doesn't make it to the end of the season, or he makes it to the end of the season and Isak isn't necessarily fit enough to play 6 good weeks, you could argue that we never got a chance to see what the system actually was going to be with who he had available. And I don't know if you can flip that and say, well, then Xabi Alonso is going to have his pick of the litter of whatever system he wants to play with. You go to Real Madrid, you see the talent that's there. You can play whatever system you want to play because you have pretty much unlimited money and the player pool where you can play around with different formations and different tactical setups. And the hard part was that he couldn't get the buy-in from the players. So it's frustrating because there's no 100% certainty one way or the other. You can bring Xabi in now and he could be absolute garbage, right? You could keep Slot now and then you could keep him through the summer and next year is a completely different story. We just don't know. And so I think it's tough because we're just going to sit here going back and forth with hypotheticals.
Yeah, I think it almost feels like if you bring Xavi now, whoever you bring now, it's going to be like you're not going to use the rest of the year as a gauge. You're going to say, well, it's, like it's Slot's team, or he doesn't have this player yet, he doesn't have that player yet, he needs this type of center backs, blah blah blah. So I think the rest of the 2-3 months you're not going to hold him accountable anyway. So that's why I say, what's the point? And I realize this is part of his resume, and that's why he went to Madrid. But I guess in my mind, I was comparing resumes, and Slot won the Premier League. So why doesn't he get credit for that? If Xavi's getting all the credit in the world for winning the Bundesliga.
Isn't that the irony here that a lot of people who are Xavi in, Slot out are using the Bundesliga title as merit for his coaching when the manager you currently have literally won the league that you're in last year? Like where do you not give Slot any more of a leash then? Or is it because, we've had this tumultuous season, this rebuilding season where the team has gone through a lot of changes? I don't know. I can understand the frustration with Slot at times regarding maybe personnel and his choices on the pitch and maybe what he says in post-match, maybe pre-match. But to use data like, well, Xabi won in the German league totally discredits what Slot did his first year. And I don't give a crap if it was Klopp's players because Klopp didn't do it with those players. So you have to give Slot the credit there.
No, that's what I mean. That's why I don't understand when you compare the two, why this is so much. I mean, I know why in the back he was. I mean, it's a 2-team league, Bob. So if you're not one, you're two over there. It's a 2-team league for the most part. And Atletico is occasionally like, hey, I play too. They're like, shut up. And then they throw them down. But I mean, it's a 2-team league compared to Bundesliga, where, I mean, the Bundesliga win, similar to Klopp, I thought was like an achievement, even though Bayern was down that year. Still, like they had like a ridiculous record. And let's face it, like they had like a lot of those like runs where they had like the like avoiding the like keeping the undefeated thing, like scoring late goals and stuff like that. They had like a ridiculous run and won, and I think he should get credit for it. I just don't understand why he gets so much more credit for winning the Bundesliga compared to winning, slots winning the Premier League. That just does not make sense to me. Premier League is not. I mean, Premier League's teams change. It's always going to be 2 teams, 3 teams. You're not going to have like 16 teams going for the title at the same time, but it's always different clubs. I mean, unfortunately, this year is going to be looks like freaking just Arsenal looks like, but
3 teams is still more than 2.
And I'm not judging Alonso a lot about, he failed at Madrid's kind of a thing. But it was clear that he wanted that more. So him coming back over here, I don't think is good for his optics either. But I'm not judging him for that. It's a lot of drama. It's a lot of politics over there. And obviously he was not good at like handling it. There are a lot of like divas on that team. And that's on Madrid to kind of like build that team around divas in the first place, like Vinicius and Mbappe and stuff like that. There's just like way too many of them on one squad to handle. And he could not handle it. I think it was a huge jump from being the underdog. And that's why I think, Klopp never wants to go to a team like that, because your strength is taking the underdog and making it better and competing with the big dog, as opposed to taking the big dog and then just like blowing up in your face. I think that's why it was not the right choice for him. But I'm sure when Madrid comes knocking, I've been told by Trent that you don't say no, you just start taking Spanish lessons. So and that's what he basically ended up doing. So I'm not holding him against it or anything like that. But I'm still with it, man. I'm still with it. Because I think it's a long time to go. First of all, I mean, obviously we have the game this week, but I do think, it's a long time to go. And I feel like, should we be you can look at the game any freaking way you want, but should we be encouraged by what we saw, or should we be even more discouraged by what we saw this weekend in terms of the results?
I would say in terms of the result, then it's discouraging. But in terms of what you actually saw on the pitch, it's encouraging, because we talked about the chances that you had, right? And every game you play, if you have those same exact chances, you're not only scoring 1 goal that game, right? Maybe 5 out of 10 times, half the games you play with those kinds of chances, you only end up scoring 1, maybe. But in more cases, you score 2, 3 of those quite easily. So there is a long way to go still in the Champions League. And when it comes to knockout style football, literally anything can happen. So I don't know. I'm going to hold my reservations against the possibility of Champions League until this team is knocked out of the Champions League. Last year we thought we were going to run through the Champions League and then got derailed by PSG, who was having a rough season by their standards as well, up until that time when they really started clicking, getting things together. So, I mean, you call me I don't know, deluded Steve over here, but maybe there's a chance where things click at the right time. And I don't know, maybe not everyone will love it, because that could save Slot's job for another year. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like answered that question. I don't think this team can keep going like in a league and like, challenge for anything right now. I do think they just go for the Champions League spot and hopefully get that. But in the Champions League, it's a whole different thing. It will be a lot of games like the Arsenal game where you kind of like get ready for it. And I do feel like, when you look at those games, I feel like we will play better against that opposition. Speaking of, like, it was like a
bat signal
to do, like a bat signal. The dude showed up right away. Good morning. Guy Boyd in the finals is not chance. We did not have we created a lot of chances. I mean, we just had the XG at almost 3 over there that we covered. I don't think that can be denied. I mean, we had a lot of chances in that game. Should have finished. If you finish, not to mention we missed a freaking penalty. That's, adds to the misery over there. But I felt like it was a well-played game overall. This is the first time I saw this team having ideas to break down a low block. And I don't know, like, is that Burnley or is that like us? I don't know. We will see that. But, ultimately, I felt like looked a lot better to the eye test. But at the end of the game, I could not believe, like, I could not be like, oh, that was great. I was so like frustrated. And it was like, but I was frustrated not because of the play. I was more frustrated this time because I felt we deserved more out of that game, which is totally different than, for example, the Leeds game.
Yeah, where you were lucky to get a point out of it at the end,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I 100% agree, and it's I guess that's where we're always going to be at every week when we talk about this. Is we're going to be talking about going in the same circles, talking about what we deserved, what we didn't deserve out of the game, and if Slot's the guy or not. And I think the most frustrating thing is that these are conversations that we need to stop having, and it's not going to change until the manager changes. But it's a matter of when the manager changes, and that's why I think he'll be in at least to the end of the season.
I think so too. Like I say, I'm still in just because I don't like the options that out. And I mean, unless they bring Xavi in right away, I just don't understand what that does, because we're going to spend the next 3 months saying like, well, it's okay. He's building something or something like that, which I don't know how he doesn't have center backs. So I don't know how he's going to play. And that's another thing. Like, I don't know if he's kind of like set up to fail right now with our like defensive backline situation and the rotation and everything on top of like the injuries. But Slot destroyed our first half momentum in the second half. Really, I thought, I don't know. I maybe we're looking at different things. And I think maybe that's why like I'm trying to see the positives. And if you're trying to see the negatives because you're Slot out, I think we end up seeing different things. I do want to bring this up. I know Deludus Steve was being sarcastic, but I see a lot of people online who are apparently in the locker room regularly, because they keep telling me that he has lost it behind the scenes over there. It's a 12 game unbeaten streak, even though there's like 15 draws in there. What do you say about, like, is that just chance then? Because this team was like losing, conceding goals like crazy. We were like, we got to stop the bleeding. He stopped the bleeding. And I think it's made us probably play a bit more scared than we would like. I would like, at least. But doesn't that in some way show that he still has the players?
Yeah, I mean, if this team continued to lose and spiral, then you can start saying that he lost the players. We were sitting here 2 months ago just saying, make any necessary changes to the way that you're playing that we could see that will allow you the best chance to not lose points in these games. What did he do? He made those necessary changes. Yes, it became a bit more stale. It became even slower than it was before. But he did what a lot of fans were asking and made the necessary changes to at least keep this team from losing points game in and game out. And now, yes, you don't get the full 3 points from some of the sides you should get the full 3 points from.
Yeah.
But you still get the 1 point, and you still get this feeling that this team is past that hump of easily giving up points now, where we were in the beginning, right? I think so. You have to at least look at it at least a bit positively, because it's not easy to go undefeated in 12 games, regardless of what league you're in, right? I mean, at some point you're gonna lose, and I think it's something that you should at least, if there's anything to be positive from this situation with Slot, is that they've gone 12 games without losing a game. And I think that you have to build off something, right? How many of these fans were so annoyed by this team losing and saying, well, just stop conceding, just get a draw. Okay, you get a draw, you get a couple draws now, you get several draws now, and now you're upset that there's draws, right? I mean, you can only do so much, and not every fan is going to be pleased. And I'm not saying you should sit here and be ultra uber happy that this team isn't competing against Arsenal right now, but you have to at least give credit where it's due. And for 12 games now without losing, it's something that you should at least respect.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, the way the team plays today, I mean, on Saturday, I don't see a team that is not playing for the manager. Again, we're going back and we're talking about, people are seeing what they want to see, kind of a deal. I rarely agree with Saidu, but I really don't know what Chiesa is good at either. And I don't understand why. I mean, with Chiesa, despite Chiesa, I don't know where we're going with that. I don't understand the Chiesa love. And then when he comes in, the whole chaos thing, it's like Nunez, like at times, where it's like that comments a really unnecessary foul in the box when we had the pressure on him and we were like kind of crossing. It's like it's almost like a guy we picked from the stands, and he's so happy to be out there. He's running around like a maniac, like hitting everybody, and and like Roy Keane would say, smashing into people, but like not really producing anything at the end of the day. I really do not understand the love over there. I don't, same as I do not understand the constant hate for Gakpo. I understand he's like very predictable and everything like that, but I thought he had a good game too. I thought both sides in the wings, this is the first time in a long time we were able to do stuff. And I feel like that thing is working over there, starting to work over there. I thought Kerkez had a great game, who we criticize a lot over there. Frimpong, and obviously Wirtz. I mean, he's like, unreal to watch. Hold on, Satish was making like an analogy over here. I totally lost it because I'm still not following it. So if Slot says tomorrow he's deeply offended by YouTube comments and miss my family and Holland leaves, what do I do? What do you mean, what do I do? I mean, I was sports. See, like, I'm not like these guys on social media who, just to kind of like get clicks and stuff, just gonna be like, Mr. Negative all the time, yell and scream whenever there's a full result. I'm gonna sport regardless. I hate people who are online right now, literally like almost like having petitions freaking signed to get the manager of the club who just won the title last year sacked. I just don't understand that. I don't understand what part of this is being a supporter, because that's not fucking supporting to me. I don't know what part of that is fandom. I don't understand that either. So whoever they put in charge, I'm going to support, because that guy doing good means Liverpool doing good. And that's the only reason I am supporting Slot, because if he does well, that to me means Liverpool is doing well. So that's kind of
what
like
a wild concept.
And like the bullshit part is like this weekend, I think it was on like Saturday or whatever. I think it was on like Redman TV and stuff. They were bitching about his personality. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Because because Liverpool wants a personality. We want to feel the guy and stuff. You were feeling him all freaking over last year. Like nobody complained about how, this is a great change of pace. We did the right move. He's the calm guy. That's why we're winning, because it's a lot more controlled, blah, blah, blah. Everybody was on their knees last year. And now we don't like his temperament. He's too calm and stuff. Get the hell out of here. I mean, that's just basically looking at the results and supporting accordingly. That's the part that's, got me going now first thing in the morning, because I saw that clip yesterday and I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Yes, I am saying fuck you. I don't know who the hell that guy was, because I just saw a reel over there. That's bullshit when you come out of there and complain and bitch about Slot's personality, and it's not the right personality for a Liverpool manager. I didn't see Redman TV complaining at all last year, not freaking once. So now shut the hell up about his personality. You can complain about tactics, you can complain about other stuff, but complaining about his personality doesn't fit the city and stuff. It fit like a goddamn charm last year, and nobody complains. It's in fact the reverse. Everybody praised it. That's what really bugs me. Not only people didn't complain, everybody freaking praised it.
You remember when people were saying, remember when Klopp would blame the grass or blame the early morning starts? Slot came in and said, yeah, we play early Saturday kickoff. It is what it is. You got to get ready for it. And we talked about how your coach and your manager, what they say kind of trickles down. If you're complaining about the early kickoffs or the wet grass, then all of your players are going to start complaining about the early kickoffs and the wet grass, and they're not going to be able to play well. And then Slot comes in and goes, we're just going to play because that's the time we have to play. And look at how those matches changed from the Klopp era of the early morning kickoff to early morning for us to the Slot early kickoff. And it's exactly, there's nothing else I can add to what you said, because it's 100% right. It's very much, I think a lot of there's several things here. There are fans who are going to always complain just to complain, because I don't know, maybe they're miserable, maybe they just want to be heard, maybe they don't have enough people in their life to talk to, and so they feel like they have to just be negative all the time. And the second kind of fan that really pisses me off is the one that feels like they always have to be right no matter what the situation is, no matter what has changed. What they're saying now is the correct thing that's going on, even though they said the exact opposite last year, right? We've seen this happen in our own Discord of many places where someone was calling X player world class and needing to be on this team. And then 3 weeks into them being in this team, they were calling for their head saying they should never start. And it's so frustrating because we can't sit back and just be more objective sometimes.
Yeah, it's basically like I say, it's watching with a specific type of glasses. If you want to use the slot out glass, you grab that. Roshi says the Anfield crowd was shouting attack. It's who we are, and slot doesn't do it. I honestly still do not see a huge difference compared to last year. I think the big difference is you don't have Diaz. You don't have a guy who does attack and doesn't have any breaks. So that's, you lost there. You kind of see what happens when you have Frimpong on the right-hand side, because it's almost very similar to Diaz in terms of how he goes at players and makes them back up and makes them kind of like double up on that side and stuff. That's what you're, I think, really missing compared to last year. I think the style is pretty much the same. The results are not, that's for sure. But I am not understanding this. He doesn't understand this club, because he definitely understood it last year, and his tactics understood it last year. He was the halftime genius last year, the adjustments he made and stuff like that. But I don't know what happened. Maybe he fell in somewhere, hit his head on something that we don't know. It never hit the media. And now he doesn't know any of these things. That's the part I don't understand. That's the part I do not get over there. So I think it's more about players, maybe. I mean, here's the thing, though. Have they kind of like thrown them out to dry because of the money spent? We kind of like take the top level out, right? Because we can't say, oh, he wasn't backed, where we used to say that with Klopp all the time. You know, in terms of like, oh, you didn't get the financial backing and stuff. So we can't say that with Slot now, because we spent money ultimately. But do we spend the money looking back now based on some of the things he's saying, especially with the players lost, that we did not necessarily replace with like for like players? And one of them is being Diaz. I'll admit, I personally always assumed he wasn't big on how Diaz and Trent on those guys played, because he wanted more control. But I think maybe in his head, he said it's okay to have a winger who is aggressive and going at people. Maybe he didn't like, in the back being aggressive, but he wanted that guy up top. So do you think the top level, Edwards and Hughes and those guys, are kind of getting a pass because of the dollar spent, looking at the squad he has now and what he has to work with? I mean, obviously you can't expect injuries, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to.
Got me going, Satish. You got me going.
I think it goes back to what I said, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes ago. And I think one of the comments also was mentioning his substitutions and being frustrated with the substitutions, which I can understand to a certain extent. But who does he have to choose from to substitute on, right? I think that's the most difficult thing right now in understanding who he trusts, in that he doesn't have a deep enough squad of players that he particularly trusts. Whether that's right or wrong for us, it's what he sees and what he sees fit and who he's going to pick from, right? You can't overturn all 18 to 23 players from one year to another and then get a brand new 18 to 23 and start fresh, right? So you lose 6, 7, 8 guys, you bring in 4, 5, 6, and you do with what you have there. And I think because of the money spent over the summer, nearly $500 million, that there's going to be these expectations somewhat fairly of what you expect to see. But then when you actually sit back and recognize who was purchased and how available they have been, and then who was left to choose from beyond those players, you see that there wasn't much left there. You want to bring on a 17-year-old and have him start every single game and be your savior. You want the Italian guy to come on and be the savior when we see that when he starts, he doesn't have that much of an impact as he does when he has 10 minutes to run around like crazy. Those are the only two attackers he has to choose from outside of who he's been picking for the whole year, right? You only have Gakpo that's healthy right now and Ekitike. That's it, right? Who else do you want up there? Who else can you pick from up there? You want to go into the academy and say, okay, well, let's throw this other 16 or 17-year-old kid on. No, you don't, because this isn't FIFA. It just doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of fans have to just look into the mirror and be like, man, there really isn't that much to pick from outside of the 12, 13 guys that truly he trusts that can actually play 90 minutes if he needs them to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to that. It's right now, especially. That's why this weekend I was like, as I was watching, I was like, oh man, when the fuck is Mo coming back? Because I know he wasn't in form, but if nothing else, it's options up top and somebody who can at least finish, because it felt like finishing was the issue now, not creating. But we had certain players, Chiesa, Endo, Ramsey, and these are like the things I didn't understand. I really thought last year, and I've been saying this throughout. I mean, Ramsey, first of all, is only there because every right back in the world is injured, and he still doesn't trust him, so he plays somebody else over him. So like he's just there by default. If I was around, they were like, "Hey, we need the right back on the bench. You want to sit over there? You're never gonna go in anyway. You don't even have to put the kid on because you're not going in," kind of a deal. Because clearly doesn't trust him. And though I've been saying it for months, I don't think since last year really, that I don't think it fits this midfield's mold, because he's not comfortable on the ball and he can't turn. He's a good closer, like how we use Milner in the past, come in the 75th, 70th minutes and close out games and give some like stability in defense. And we already kind of like talked about Chiesa over there. But good news is I have scared Satish into being slots in, and for life too, not just for the next few months over there. So this was frustrating. See, now Roshi says that I read somewhere, so somebody tell me this now. I read somewhere that he was yelling at Szoboszlai for doing that. So which one is true? Because I didn't see either. When Szoboszlai got the ball, and those were like times where I get really frustrated, because you complain about a low block, and then when you get the opportunity to push when you have numbers, or at least closer numbers than to 4 to 10, at least you're like 4 to 5 or something like that. Did you see this incident where Szoboszlai slowed it down? And I heard that Slaw was yelling at him. Roshi saying he was clapping, like approving of it.
I don't know which one's true at this point. It's unless you have like actual video and audio at that moment, I don't think we'll really know, because this is the thing. There's going to be a split in everything that happens, and one side is going to see it this way, the other side is going to see it that way. Can I really quick just address something that comes up here real quick? Yeah. This is the stuff that I really have a problem with.
Ooh, here we go.
All those names there: Elliott, Chiesa, Endo, Darwin, Kwanzaa, Morton. How many of those guys, realistically, actually, in your heart of hearts, in your bone of bones, in your amazing knowledge of this sport, Bob, do you truly think would have an impact on the field for this club 90 minutes in and out? Because I can see one name on there that could help, and that's it.
Elliott?
No, Kwanzaa. Because
because he's a center back. Gotcha.
Because he has a center back, and you can at least have a little bit of rotation there. There's a reason why Endo doesn't play. Everyone wanted Darwin gone after the first 6 months anyway, and to sit now and be like, oh yeah, I still want Darwin, it's fucking ridiculous. Tyler Morton he's playing really well in France. Congrats. But he wasn't playing well here. I don't really understand where we see these names and go, yeah, those are the real game changers. Slot, I can't believe he didn't want any of those players. I can. Yeah. How can you look at those names and go, all of those guys would make an impact? They wouldn't.
And honestly, like if we like sign any of these players right now, like, and they didn't play for us before, nobody would be excited from those names. Or like, we got Endo in, guys. Midfield problems are solved. Nobody was. Solo is in the house. Listen to Solo, people. Yes, if there's 20 watching, there should definitely be 20 thumbs up. That's simple math. So hit that thumbs up. So some guy who has never seen us gets exposed to this madness over here. Yes, Red Rebellion. Bob is on this thing in this imaginary dimension where Klopp always used academy kids, and aside from League Cup games, it was the same 11. Ask Fabinho how much Klopp rotated. Ask Fabinho's legs. Ask Gini's legs how much Klopp rotated.
We begged Klopp to rotate. We begged him to rotate. And he only
goes home and has to hang his legs on like the coat rack now because of those days where he had to like work.
The dude's career was done by 28 because Klopp could not rotate him and could not give him a damn break. Give me a break. This is ridiculous. Some of these things, I swear.
I don't understand what people are remembering. When did he start? Like, we always complain with Klopp the fact that he did not trust players And that's why, right or wrong, you could say, even Fabinho or Robo, like those guys didn't come in and start right away because he wouldn't trust players and he would trust a very specific small number of players overall. And unless desperate, he never played those players. But I mean, Jimbo says Klopp had no one to rotate with. Well, he had all these guys that Bob just threw out there on the bench, like Elliott's and stuff like that, and they would not come in. Like, we would not sub till like the 80th minute and stuff. That was like our biggest complaint at the time. Is like, man, why are we not subbing and stuff like that? So, I mean, look, I think another thing, like, when you moved Kwanzaa, but I mean, you didn't expect probably Leone to be the way it is. And here's my thing: last year I was here defending poor Kwanzaa because he was the new Lovren or Gomez. He was the new replacement of the hated center back for his old mistakes. The guy who hates it the most that Kwanzaa left is probably Konate. Because whereas Kwanzaa would take all the blame and now it goes to Konate. I mean, rightfully so. But to the point where people were blaming him for the goal, can he have done better? Yes. But it's the Premier League. You can't have someone just have their head up and 5 seconds on the ball because they're going to make that pass. They're going to make the through pass, and that's very impossible to cover for a center back, for like a striker having the, like the lead on you. So I don't agree to that at all. We might lose the entire chat, but I do want to get to this because we should first of all do like a Sadio Mane appreciation thing out of this entire ordeal as well. Did you get to watch the AFCON final? That was part of my amusements yesterday.
I like how you worded it. Did I get to watch? As if it's something that I was gifted the opportunity of. No, I did not watch it.
Really? See, Michael, some common sense. Yes, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way. But no, I mean, honestly, I didn't watch the whole game for the record, but I did tune in. I think it was like second half, it was like 70th or something like that. I mean, that's the thing with like AFCON sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, like the home team, the host team always gets the calls and stuff like that. The penalty was a penalty, but Senegal, for some odd reason, because it was a penalty, there was nothing to argue about. But I mean, what football is about with action flag. Yeah, it was so weird at the end where Senegal wanted to pull the team, did pull the players off the pitch. And then they went in, Sadio goes and gets them, brings them back. And I don't know the language. I saw a reel where it put the translation, but I don't know if it's accurate. He was talking about, come out and play like a man, kind of a deal. I don't know if that's true translation or not. But so they go, worst penalty I've ever seen, to the point when it's happened, I thought, because Mendy was saying something to him, and I thought maybe he was saying, like, if you're a man, you would not like score this or something. The way he took the penalty, it almost looked like, if he wasn't crying afterwards, I would have been like, I think he did that on purpose. It was that bad. It looked like a 3-year-old took it. It wasn't even people were calling that Panenka. That is the worst Panenka I've ever seen, because it didn't even go up in the air. It was just like he had to go down to grab it.
It was truly one of the worst penalties ever. And I think I saw some comments jokingly about it making the highlight reel of top respect moments in football. If Diaz did that on purpose, which I don't, like you said, if the tears weren't there, maybe you could look into it. But yeah. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think how interesting 2 years of a difference makes. Like, Morocco was the world's darling, right, in the World Cup, and the Cinderella that everyone loved and rooted for and cheered for, and now they're the ultimate villain, right? And you're like, well, yeah. I don't ever want to see them win another game ever, right? It's how quickly things change when you start tasting a little bit of success sometimes. So yeah, the VAR check should not have taken that long either. I mean, that's one of those things where there shouldn't be that much of a gap between a check. I understand that all of the things that were going on right after the decision too added to the time, but it's one of those moments where it was a hell of an ending to the game.
I mean, the thing I didn't get is it took so long because he couldn't get to the screen. Right. There were like 100 people in front of him. It was just like, dude, like, how is this so hard to establish this discipline over here? There were literally like 50 people around the TV screen. It was like he was watching he was watching the VR, like watching a game in a pub or something. There were like everybody was around him and stuff. And yeah, I mean, he gives that, and then it kind of goes back. I'm glad that came out. Scotty says it was done on purpose. I don't know. The way he put his head down, I don't see the like. I didn't think it was done on purpose. Right? And here's another thing. You can do it on purpose a lot easier. You can kick it out of bounds.
Right. You can actually like, hit it with power, go for the corner, look like you're going for the corner.
Yeah, because if he dives, that could still go in. So it's not a really good way of like if he took it and like kick it out of bounds like towards the corner flag, you'd be like, okay, I got it. Which I mean, he didn't have to. He shouldn't have to, because I really did felt like it was, it was a penalty. Like you said, it shouldn't have even taken that long. It was a penalty. Yeah. Honestly, he's not a very likable character, so I was all for it. The only reason I watched this in the city place for Fenerbahce, and he comes off the bench, I was like, oh, maybe he'll come in and score the winner, raise his price, because I hear Everton and Forest and them are interested in it. Arda Güler would have buried that. That's another reason I don't like Brahmachin, because I think he takes over Arda's spots. Solo, what's going on? Solo was at the game. Yes, he posted a couple of pictures in the WhatsApp on the FA Cup game. I mean, that's the thing. The whole booing, I did not even like address it. What did you think of it? I know when Klopp said, but that's the thing, we're like kind of like try to get things the wrong way over here. He knew there were boos. He meant like the boos weren't at the results and the frustration, not at the players. It was more at Slots, to be fair, not at the players. But what do you make of that? Like Anfield's, who was kind of chanting Slots' name. So is that at Slots? Is that at the players? Is that at the results? What is the booing at?
We should go ask every single person who was at that game as they were walking out and interview them and say, "Did you boo?"
In charge. Next game.
Who was it for? It could very well be both. I mean, I know you hate that answer from me sometimes, but it could have very well been both, right? You could be booing both the players for the performances over the last several months, and you could be booing Slot for another draw that maybe you feel is unjust. I think if it wasn't Burnley, like if this was Arsenal, right, I don't think you'd hear any boos. I think the competition also will make the fans feel a certain way, and it is what it is. I mean, but I don't know if the weight of their boos are any more or less than the weight of other people's boos, right? I mean, if the local people are complaining about Anfield being covered with tourists anyway, then are the tourists at fault for booing? They must be the ones booing then, and not the actual Scousers that are going to the game, right? That's what we hear all the time. Atmosphere's dead because of all the tourists, because of all the foreign people coming and watching the game, and not actual local people. So is it the tourists' fault now that they're booing, or are the locals actually going to the games now? And are they the voice of reason? Because you can never have both. I don't know.
Even Bob says tourists never boo. Exactly, like tourists would not. But they're somehow always at fault. I mean, here's the thing. Yes, I do agree that yes, it is kind of on the players, but you're not going to, when you don't get the results. I understand this. When you don't get the results, you're not going to get rid of all the players and say the XG is good. So it's not the coach. You're not going to get rid of all the players. So it's going to be on the manager to convert that XG into reality, confidence, form, all that kind of stuff. So I do understand that. And I think a lot of the boos came from, like Slot said, it was frustration. But I think, like Michael is saying, I felt like too, throughout the game, we're winning this. Like it felt like we're winning this, and we're winning this easily. It felt like the way we were playing, this is happening today. This team is like kind of like on it today, kind of a deal. So when it ends like that, I think it's even a bigger frustration than if it was like the Leeds game where you felt like they could play another 5 hours. Nobody's winning this thing, kind of a deal. Whereas this game felt like we're playing good. We should be winning and stuff. Bob says, Bob was at the game. So Japanese, they're happy as no one. Yeah, because it's like a, I don't know, event of a lifetime to be able to go to Anfield for most people. So they're going to be the ones that are the most passionate rooting for the team, because they never will get to do it again. Jimbo says 36 attempts on goal. Yeah, I mean, it was weird, man. It was a draw, and it felt like it should have been a win, so it was disappointed. But at the same time, I liked how we played, so I was encouraged. But then because the result is not there, it's like you can make your heads explode on this one over here. But sadly, we'll get to talk about it a lot more as we head into the Champions League game. How does it carry over to Champions League, you think, the performance from the weekend?
I think positively. I think when you look at what the team was able to create, I think you have to look at positively. Why wouldn't you want to look at it and say we could build from here? And a couple of those balls go just a little bit of a different way, and you have 3-4 goals in the back of the net. So I think you have to be able to take the best of what you got from this weekend and build on it. Because if you're going to continue to just build, or not build, but you continue to sort of focus on the negatives, it's not going to lead to anything, right? It's going to lead to more frustration. So you have to look at it and see the positive, the interplay between some, especially between like Wirtz, Ekitike, Jones. Like I think that three together looks really nice. Looks absolutely great together, right? Kirkes is really starting to get into his own on the left, which is nice. Having Frimpong on the right is starting to look really good. With Mo coming back, I mean, it opens up a little bit more there. So I think you have to look at it and just go look at it and go, we can build from this and we can make a more positive impact. We just have to finish. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, I mean, Bob says we're winning at Marseille and lose to Bournemouth. That's a tough away game as well because coming this weekend. I don't know. Like part of me says, I look at these fixtures and I was like, man, these are the games that you were supposed to win. Because, when you look back after the international break, it was like, hey, these are the 3 points you can win. Burnley, Wolves, and all that kind of stuff. And now we're going to tougher matchups. But then I look at the Arsenal game. It feels like this freaking team plays better against like better teams somehow. So we'll see what happens. I am hopeful that we will I mean, it is the French league, to be fair. I don't know who they scored that against, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like an easy game or anything like that by any means, and it's away. I just have more faith. I don't know if Mo is going to be back in time for that because he played Saturday, so you would think he'd be coming back, so at least he would be able to get off the bench and stuff. Solo says the fans were booing slots. Loads of people have banners that saying slot outs. He can't know the next steps by giving the season. I feel like that too, but I keep going back to that. And there was a short that went out the other day. I think we have brought it to the point where he can't win. So I don't know. We're at the point of no return unless he has like I see people literally saying, and it's from Indy Kyler, he just pulls stuff out of his ass. I know he has like a bit more reliable source, but he's gone if he doesn't win the Champions League and stuff like that. It's like, seriously. I do worry, though. It's not like the Champions League spot is guaranteed, so I do worry about that, but we'll see what happens. I don't give a fuck if he's a good player. He's an asshole.
Why would you even... I mean, that's not even... That's probably the most problematic statement that we've had on this show, honestly. Out of all the comments we've had, that's probably been the worst comment to have had. And whoever said that Marseille scored how many goals, I just looked it up. They won 9-0 in the French domestic cup against a team in the second division. So we're going to count those goals as their big 16.
Damn it, Ozan. We can't even trust your stats anymore. What's going on?
Ozan, you know better than that. Come on, man.
Okay, it is Monday though. Michael says that. I think the bad thing is everybody is taking camps. So, and then we're looking at games with that view. I do want to throw that out there and still Ozan says stats. Yeah. I do want to throw that image out there maybe shortly so that we have 7-8 hours for it to brew. I do want to ask people. So if you're not following our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff, please do. I'm going to throw it on there and I'm going to ask, if you're in, why are you in? If you're out, why are you out? I don't want you to, and I want to know, like, if it's because you're bored, that's fine. You don't like his personality, that's fine. Just say exactly what it is. And I don't want to like, he's shite and all that kind of stuff, like a good one. There is a Discord channel to join at your own risk, Scotty. So and I mean this from the bottom of my heart over here. I will throw the invite over here. It is at your own risk. It can get pretty toxic at times, but it also talks about all other leagues and sports and stuff like that too. So especially if you're in the US, and we even talk like movies and all that kind of stuff, which are less toxic than the other ones. Well, like I say, it's at your own risk. And those who answer, what would you say the score is?
It's an amalgamation of a bunch of personalities that sometimes get along and sometimes don't. If Ozan, if you could see what happened in this chat for the last hour and just kind of multiply it by 3 or 4, then you get the Discord. I will say though, it's usually before this year, it was a lot of fun. It's become a lot less fun this year, mainly because the team isn't doing well. So naturally, I think that's part of it. But there's still a lot of fun there. There's many different threads on there that you can be part of. So you don't necessarily have to talk about Liverpool or footy all the time, right? We have different, like yesterday we were talking about, the NFL in the NFL tab or whatever it was. So it's fun because you can meet other people too. And I think like that's been the fun part, is we've built sort of this pub-like atmosphere outside of a pub, and gives you an idea of, or gives you an ability to be around like-minded fans most of the time without having to leave your home, which is kind of cool. You just sometimes fight with those people, just like you fight with family sometimes.
True. But, they're at least family, so you can put up with some of them. Bob, I know your age is, I assume you're around my age or older. And if you don't know anything about domestic violence at this age, I don't know what to tell you. And so for the record, if you guys know Bob and see him around Anfield, you can go kick him in the balls. If you say sorry afterwards, you're in good shape. He's all for it. So
keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it until, there's like the little Steve says, doesn't excuse what he did. He's a scum of a freaking human being. And I don't even care how good of a player he is, or if he gets 5 goals. Like, that's the kind of guy I will never freaking be able to root for. And you making excuses for it only makes it worse over here.
Ridiculous.
Jimbo says my Broncos are in the
without Bo Nix,
which made 49ers got pummeled. I didn't expect much out of that anyway, I guess, but and I was more happy that they got pummeled as opposed to losing in the last second. I did enjoy the Bears' misery yesterday, I have to say.
Ouch, that's rude.
You know what did it for me? I already find the Bears fan base really annoying. I think second to the Philly fan base. But when we went to the hockey game and they were chanting Packers suck on Thursday, I was like, talking about living rent-free in your head, first of all. I don't understand. I don't understand that. It's like, get over it. You guys already won. There's another game coming up. So I was like definitely rooting for Rams. You should have seen Layla. She was jumping up and down with joy because now she doesn't have to hear it from people at work, which is the biggest thing. So
look, man, I said it in the Discord too. You only have so many chants in American sports. You only get so many chants that you have as a collective. So you really try and use them wherever you can, whenever you can, because Lord knows when you're at the games, there really isn't a lot of chanting going on, other than your defense and the others, like the basics.
My wife is a Colts fan, Michael, and yes, she does enjoy it as well. Even though I didn't enjoy making fun of Rivers when she was playing and when he was playing with a cane. The Bears owners don't own Arsenal, do they?
No, those are the Rams owners.
Is it the Rams? I thought it was somebody else. Actually, now that I think about it,
isn't it
the Rams owners?
Isn't it the Kroenke family?
Will there be a live watch along for Turkey versus Romania? When the hell are they playing Romania? I guess would be my follow-up question. There would be if I knew when the hell it was. I had no idea when they were playing, to be honest with you, because I don't think it's still like March or something like that, right? Rama? What? Jimbo, you're throwing me off. Kroenke is Rams, says Michael. Okay, it is Rams.
That's
Bears fan. The Bears ownership barely owns the Bears, so there's that. So I don't think they're like that. Yes, Rams.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
Rams, okay. Arsenal, 49ers are leads.
Yep.
I know that. Satish says, there's a lot happening, man. We're March 26th, dude. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, leave alone what I'm going to do on March 26th. Come on, Ozan, you know me better than that. But they're
Guendouzi.
looking at Conte, like who's like 85 years old, I think, but I'm assuming he can still play. But they did sign Guendouzi, which I was like really pretty happy with. So they have made some like good moves over there. It should be interesting. They're playing Villa on Thursday. So I'm not expecting a lot of that, but it is in Istanbul, so you never on. So okay. That's it for us today. I'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. I think it's just me and Gally because Bickler's traveling as always. I think like he's like going around like a freaking like a preacher or something. You can't be training people this much out of town. So I don't know what he's up to, or he's like
He's
a driving
spreading the good word.
Yeah, he's spreading us slotting. But have an excellent day, everybody. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, what the hell have you been doing for the last hour? But if you haven't followed the channel, please do. And as always, I do really mean this when I ask this. First of all, Scotty answered the Discord, so that's on you, dude. And then, but please pass on the word. Send some invites. Bring some people over here.
Welcome.
Even Bob. You can even bring Bob and Bob's friends over here. But have a great day, everybody. I'll see you guys tonight. Take care.